A hunting backpack and just a backpack in general is a chain of things that all work together. And if you don't know how to put one on properly, there's going to be a chink in that chain and you're not going to get the optimal performance out of that pack. So today we're going to talk about how to properly put on a hunting backpack to set yourself up for a good experience in the field. What's happening, guys? It's Josh Karlsson from the Dialed In Hunter. Today we are going to be covering how to put on a hunting backpack to ensure you get the best performance possible out of that pack and that you have the best experience possible out in the field. I'm going to say this right up front. It does not matter how much money you dropped on a backpack, okay? If you don't know how to put that thing on right, it's not going to work right, okay? So before I dive into the process of how to put the backpack on, I just want to touch on a few things that I think are super important that play a massive role into this whole process working. And the first thing is the sizing. You need to make sure that you get a backpack that is sized properly for you and your body. Most of the websites out there, the companies that are selling hunting backpacks, they have like a guideline that'll guide you right through the process of how to get the right sized backpack for you. Your torso length, your waist belt size, those are the biggies right there, okay? If you don't have those dialed, the backpack is not going to work right, all right? In terms of the torso length, most of these backpacks, if not all have adjustable torso lengths on them. That is there for a reason, and when I put on the backpack, I'll kind of show you how to tell if your torso length needs an adjustment or not, if you need to adjust the torso length on there. The waist belt, so the biggest hiccup that I see with waist belts is people will order a waist belt that is a size too big because they are trying to anticipate wearing bulky clothing under that waist belt. Don't do this, okay? If you get a waist belt that is too big for you, you're not always going to be wearing all of those clothes, right? That's just not realistic, all right? We hunt throughout the early season into the late season, and then even in the late season, if you're packing meat, I don't know anyone that's wearing all of their clothes while they're packing meat out of the backcountry or something like that. You're in like 1 or 2 layers maybe while you're carrying all that weight. So the bulk isn't there, all right? If you have a waist belt that's too big for you, you're gonna basically run out of room tightening that waist belt up, which means that you're not gonna be able to get that tight enough around your hips to hold that weight securely without it slipping. So your waist belt will slip down if you can't get it tight enough. So that is probably the biggest thing I've seen throughout the years of people messing up with their sizing is the waist belt. Man, they get a waist belt that's a little too big. So get a waist belt that is sized for you, not for your clothes, okay? And if you find that you fall, say like whatever pack company you're buying a backpack from, if you fall like in between sizes, say you're in between like a small and a medium or something like that, go on the smaller side of things, because then you know you're going to be good. If you go this way, I mean, you could set yourself up for a real painful experience. Okay, so go smaller, get it sized for you, not your clothes. All right, so I just want to go through a few areas on the backpack quick so we know what all of these things do. And by knowing what each one of these things does, we're going to be able to better manipulate the backpack to get it to do what we need it to do in the field. Okay, so we just touched on the waist belt. Waist belt, super important. This is where like 80% of your weight is going to be, okay? Which is why it's so crucial to get the sizing right, all right? Because if it's too big, you're not going to be able to get it tight enough and it's going to slip down because it's holding so much weight, all right? Right here's your lumbar pad. The lumbar pad is going to go on your lower back, not on your butt, okay? Above that, on your back. And when you cinch this waist belt down, this lumbar pad, it has give to it, and it's going to help cushion all that weight being pushed into your back. but also it's going to help work with the waist belt and anchor that weight in place so it doesn't slip down. Okay, so that's the lumbar pad. We move up here. These are the shoulder straps. The shoulder straps are really meant to keep the backpack in place. Okay, so tight against your back, not swaying back and forth. That's what the shoulder straps are for. And very little weight is going to be on these shoulder straps. Maybe like 15% of the weight, 20% of the weight will be on the shoulder straps. If you have too much weight on the shoulder straps, you're going to get a sore neck. You're going to get sore shoulders. It's not going to be fun. I've been there. It sucks. Right here is the sternum strap. This goes across your chest here. The sternum strap is meant to keep the shoulder straps in place. Okay, you remember when you're a kid wearing like your JanSport backpack and you're walking down the hall or whatever, and you start going like this to get the shoulder strap back up on your shoulder. The sternum strap makes that not happen. Okay, so pretty important when you're hiking through a bunch of uneven terrain and stuff. You're going to be going every which way. You need those shoulder straps to stay in place so the shoulder straps can do their job. Remember, I said chain, right? All of this works together. All right, the top here, this strap here is called a load lifter. All right, you can loosen and tighten that thing. This is meant to help lift the load up off of your shoulders, okay, to provide even more relief. Okay, so what it does is it'll lift the weight up and it'll put a little more pressure right here in your chest. That is the load lifter. So now we are going to actually put this backpack on, and I'm going to show you the order in which I do that in. So the very first thing that you're going to do before you shoulder the backpack, okay, you're going to loosen everything. You want everything loose, okay, so I'm going to loosen that. Loosen up these load lifters, okay? I'm going to loosen the shoulder straps up. Loosen those. Loosen up the waist belt. If you don't do this, if you don't loosen everything, you are not going to get what you're looking for, okay? You're not going to get the desired results, all right? It is not I'm going to loosen this. This is an every time thing, okay? This is not like you set it and forget it. This, with the exception of the sternum strap. The sternum strap, once you get that set, you can just leave that where it is. But everything else, you need to loosen everything every time before you put on the backpack to ensure that the backpack is going to work right. Okay, remember, I'm going to say it again, it's a chain and it all works together. Okay, so I've seen people in the past, like before they put on the backpack, they tighten everything. Don't do that. That is wrong. You are not going to, your backpack is not going to work right if you do that. Okay, so loosen everything first. And once you do that, then it's time to actually shoulder the backpack. All right, so everything's loose on the backpack. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to shoulder the pack. And I'm going to go right for my waist belt. All right, but I'm not just going to do this. Okay, like right now, everything's loose. Okay, so the waist belt is sitting too low. Where you want this waist belt to sit, all right, if you feel right here on your hip, you'll feel your hip bone. All right, you want that hip bone, ideally, like a good starting point, is put that hip bone in the middle of the waist belt right here, okay? So in order to do that, we need to pop this up a little bit, right? So we're going to do this. Just kind of feel around there, buckle that. And you're going to need to bend over like this so the pack doesn't go anywhere. All right? Tighten that down. Now we're good. Okay? And some of this is, I said this is a starting point, right? Like where you put your hip bone in here. Some people like the waist belt a little higher. That's totally fine, but this is just like giving you a good starting point. So there we are. We can see like the lumbar pad is not on my butt. It's on my lower back. All right. And we got our waist belt on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect my sternum strap. Now, as you can see right here, this is way too wide. All right, I don't like, this is a little bit of personal preference too. I see guys that they wear it differently, but for me, this is not going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten that kind of to where I want it. This is kind of where I like my shoulder straps to sit, okay? Once I get that, then I'm going to go to my shoulder straps, okay? And I'm just going to tighten these, just kind of start working these until I feel the shoulder straps just kind of touch my shoulders. I don't want to go super tight like that, okay? Now there's a good majority of the weight is up on my shoulders, and there's actually not that much weight on my waist when I do that, when I go too tight. So let's loosen that again. All right, keep it loose. And just snug it down until you feel the shoulder straps on your shoulders right there. Okay? All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my load lifters right up here. And I'm not going to ream on these things, okay? It's going to be just like the shoulder straps. We're going to just pull them. We're just going to pull them a little bit just until we feel the load lifter pull on the shoulder strap. Just until we can feel that, okay? If you go too hard, you're going to put too much pressure on your chest. There's going to be like a V right here in your shoulder strap, and it's not going to sit right, okay? So this right here, this is how your backpack should sit on you. All right? See how right here the shoulder strap is nice and uniform to my shoulder, okay? It comes around my shoulder. It doesn't look like this. Ready? I'll do this on purpose for you. See that? Now, when that's like that, this is super tight. There's a bunch of pressure right here, okay? And even more pressure on my chest. It is not comfortable, okay? If there's a big V right here, you don't want this big V right here. Okay, so loosen. It's also hard to do this like that too, man. Goodness gracious. Loosen that up. That nice and loose. And just get it to the point where you can just feel it take the weight a little bit. Just a little bit, right there. So that's it, guys. That is the process of how to put on a backpack, and not just an XO Mountain Gear pack. Like, I love these packs, okay, but this goes for all backpacks. Backpacking packs, hunting backpacks, whatever it is a chain of things that all work together. And if you do what I just showed you in the order that I showed you in, okay, your backpack is going to work great. The weight distribution is going to be optimal for you, and you're just going to have a better experience in the field. But I told you earlier that I was going to show you how to tell if your backpack actually fits you properly, to maybe you need to do a torso adjustment or something like that. So here's what you do. You want to turn sideways like this, right? And you can have somebody take a picture of you, or you can just look in the mirror. But basically, if you're standing like this, and there's a giant gap right here, okay? That means that your torso length, you need to shorten it, okay? Because the torso length, it moves the shoulder straps up and down. Okay, so if you think about it, if the shoulder straps, the torso adjustment is too high, all right, if it's too high, then the shoulder strap is going to be up here rather than go down like that, okay? Another thing to pay attention to is the angle of the load lifter, okay? So if I turn sideways like this, you can see that the load lifter goes up. It goes up and away, right? It's on an angle upward. If you've got a load lifter that's going straight back or down, all right, think about what we covered earlier, the purpose of a load lifter, right? The purpose of a load lifter is to lift the load a little bit and bring the weight that's on your back closer to your back, okay? That is the purpose of a load lifter. It lifts the load a little bit and brings the frame in this way more, okay? Because you want the weight as close to your back as possible, all right? If you have a load lifter that is going straight back or down even, that means that it's pulling the weight straight back or down, which is not optimal for weight distribution, okay? So like, there could be a few things going on here if you have that. Like I've seen it in the past where if you just didn't do this in order, you didn't loosen things before you put the backpack on. If you don't do that, it throws things out of whack. That's why it's the best thing to do is just to start fresh every single time you put on a backpack, loosen everything up, so you know that you're starting from ground zero when you're putting that pack on, okay? So if you just did everything that I said in order, everything is sound, and you have a load lifter that's going straight back or down, okay, what I would do is I would shorten your torso length, okay, which if you shorten your torso length, that's going to bring the frame of the backpack higher, all right, which is going to increase the angle of the load lifter. All right, let's pause right there. I totally forgot to mention something that is very worth mentioning about load lifters, okay? So the other thing that you need to pay attention to with the load lifter is where it is on your shoulder strap, all right? So you want the attachment where the load lifter attaches to the shoulder strap, you want that on the front of your shoulder, okay? Not on the back. If the load lifter is on the back of your shoulder, think about what we talked about, what load lifters do, right? They want to pull, you want to pull the weight closer to your back, and they help lift the load a little bit, okay? So if the load lifter is attached right here, it's going to be pulling you backwards and putting more pressure on your shoulders right here, and it's just not going to be comfortable, okay? So if your load lifter is attached back here, you need to figure out how to roll the shoulder strap and get it right into this area, okay? So a way to do that is well, there's a few things to pay attention to. You need to make sure you loosen everything first for this to work out. As long as everything is sized properly, it should line right up, okay? But if you do all that, if you loosen all the straps and then you throw the pack on and your load lifter is still a little bit back, I would lengthen your torso length, okay? Because that's going to make the shoulder strap come up, all right? Which will push the load lifter forward a bit, okay? So keep that in mind. Back to the video. I really hope you found this video helpful. I learned how to do this a lot of years ago, and once I actually understood how a backpack worked and how everything works together, my experience carrying heavy loads in the field on these hunts just totally changed for the better. It was easier on my body and just made for a better experience overall. If you liked the video, please hit thumbs up. If you like the channel, please hit subscribe. Thanks for watching.